everyone. I want to talk to you today about living with and managing irritable bowel syndrome. For a few years I was a constipation specialist nurse, and this was an area that I was very much involved in, and this is an area that blights so many people's lives, and for something that should be so natural, food going in, waste coming out, it seems to be incredibly complicated. So I just want to take a bit of time to just explain a bit about the mechanism of what's going on and how we can help ourselves. So just a quick recap, and I'm sure most of you know all this. We eat food, it goes into our stomach for 2 to 4 hours, then it goes into the small intestines where all the goodness gets absorbed, and then the waste arrives here at the beginning of the large intestine, the large bowel. It has to go all the way up here, all the way along here, all the way down here, round a corner, into our rectum, ready to come out when needed. And it gets moved along by waves, called peristaltic waves, but we don't need to worry about the name, and that's what moves it on. Now the gut has its own nervous system controlling those waves, but we know that it's linked to our central nervous system, because if we're on a train, somewhere inappropriate, and we get an urge to go to the toilet, we often can defer it. Not always, but often. So we know it's linked, but it's linked via our fight and flight, our autonomic nervous system, which has got the fight and flight side, the sympathetic, and the calming rest and digest side, the parasympathetic. Now in irritable bowel syndrome, a lot of people their sympathetic nervous system is overactive. They're on the go a lot, they've got high anxiety levels, a lot of stress going on in their life, they're juggling home life, work life, trying to do loads of things on their to-do list and no time to look after themselves, often eating on the train to work or eating at your desk at lunchtime and not taking any time to really rest and turn on that calming side of our nervous system. When our sympathetic, our fight and flight nervous system is really active, blood is taken away from the gut to go to the muscles ready to fight or flee. But we're not actually needing to fight or flee, it's just that our lives have got incredibly busy and incredibly stressful, so the gut cannot work properly. And the gut does one of two things with no rhyme or reason why. Either those waves completely stop and nothing moves through, and we can go for days and days without going to the toilet, and then it's very difficult to go. Or the gut goes, oh my goodness, and works way too fast, those waves go really quickly, and then we can't leave the toilet or go very far from it because we don't get very long warning for when we need to go. Also, we'll get lots of cramping, and the pain can be incredible, absolutely. We'll also get a lot of bloating. Fatigue, tiredness is a common problem with irritable bowel syndrome as well. So one of the main things about managing irritable bowel is actually trying to switch on our calming side of the nervous system, our parasympathetic. So one of the really important things is to not eat on the go. When you eat, you then need to spend at least 20 to 30 minutes resting, sitting, relaxing, and that does not include doing your work emails, doing any work things, because if your brain is still churning, then the sympathetic nervous system, the fight and flight side is still active, and the blood is not allowed to get to the gut to actually work. So one of the first things is when you eat, you must allow time for digestion and rest. The yoga practice, when you're thinking about yoga for your irritable bowel syndrome, needs to be a restorative practice. It needs to be one that switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, and also concentrating on decompressing, strength, stretching, twisting all around the digestive organs to help them work properly and to help them get a better blood flow as well. There is also certain foods that can help and not help, and you've probably worked a lot of this out for yourself. There is 2 types of fibre, soluble and insoluble. Now insoluble fibre bulks out the stool, and the aim of a bigger, bulkier stool is to encourage more of those waves. But if those waves are not working due to the fact that our nervous system is too active and we're under too much stress, making the stool bigger and bulkier with the insoluble fibre will just lead to further constipation, because it then just sits there and it's even harder to get through the gut. So foods that are high in insoluble fibre are things like brown bread, green leafy vegetables. In terms of when you've got irritable bowel, they will not help. You want to increase your soluble fibre. Soluble fibre allows the stool to be much softer and jellier-like to help to get through that gut a bit easier when your waves are not working, when your gut has just stopped working, but also if you're in a phase where your gut is moving too quickly, soluble fibre slows down those waves. A great source of soluble fibre are oats, milled linseeds, they must be milled, otherwise they just go through as seeds. That's a great source of soluble fibre. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Brussels sprouts are soluble, broccoli is soluble, whereas other green leafy veg is on the insoluble list. If you're going to look up on the internet about sources of soluble fibre, you'll see that grains contain and vegetables contain both soluble and insoluble. You want to aim for the foods that are higher in the soluble content, and that will help as well. So I hope this has been a useful start. Please do leave me a comment with any questions and I will try my best to answer them. But we can do so much to help ourselves manage our irritable bowel syndrome by taking time to do restorative yoga practices, belly breathing as often as we can, especially when we feel stressed. Just drop those shoulders, breathe into the belly, and that stimulates the calming side of the nervous system, which then allows blood to get to the gut area. Making sure that we're not eating on the go, because that really doesn't help with IBS. And then trying to aim to eat foods higher in a soluble fibre content rather than an insoluble fibre. Leave me any comments, let me know how you're getting on, and thank you for listening.